Hey everyone, John here, and Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3 are getting Nintendo Switch 2 editions, but only Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is out now, and unlike the other two, this one has a double-barreled name. It's Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition Nintendo Switch 2 edition, and we've had a little bit of concern about whether they do these and whether they do them well. If you recall, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition Nintendo Switch 2 Edition had some problems of its own. They claimed it was 60 frames per second 4K, and while 60 frames per second was right, 4K definitely was not. There wasn't really any resolution boost to that game. Instead, they just relied on an upscaler that handled it pretty dang poorly, making everything blurry. It's essentially just a blur filter applied to the game. And logically, they probably did all these ports around the exact same time. And so the question is, does Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition Nintendo Switch 2 Edition have this problem as well? And the answer is unfortunately, yeah. It doesn't seem quite as bad as it was in X, but it is still definitely there. However, there is a bit more nuance this time. You see, if you played Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Switch 1 in handheld boost mode, you'd get a native 1080p in handheld, and that is never the case in Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. This game has a pretty dang low resolution in both docked and handheld, and so you're going from a very pixelated and already quite blurry game to something that definitely looks cleaner, if still a little blurry because of the blur filter. Some distant textures end up looking a little bit warped, and if you zoom the camera all the way out, characters' faces just completely disappear into a blurry void. And that is unfortunate. But when playing in usual circumstances, I think we have got an upgrade over the Switch 1 version here. The problems definitely are still there, but when you put them side by side, I think we have something we can call an upgrade, even though there are many caveats involved. And of course, we are going up to 60 frames per second. The original ran at 30 and didn't always hit 30, and now we're going to a mostly 60, although this one little moment here had a few blips. But for the most part, this is a solid 60. Much like X, which also had a couple of blips, but for the most part that was 60 as well. And when it comes to handheld mode, we've mostly got an improvement as well. We're using handheld boost mode, so essentially comparing the Switch 1 docked versus the Switch 2 in handheld mode. And Switch 2 does come out on top, I would say. But your mileage will vary, depending on how much you can stomach the blur filter. But honestly, I always found the resolution a bit too low in Xenoblade on the Switch 1 anyway. When playing in handheld mode, you're getting something very close to 480p, which is basically the Wii's resolution, so very similar to how it was on the original Wii, even though this was the HD version. So we're definitely getting something, cleaner here, but yeah, there's a lot of baggage tied to that word, cleaner. And I wish they would just go for a raw resolution upgrade rather than applying any filters or upscaling or anything like that. And it's very likely that 2 and 3 are going to have the exact same things as well. But hopefully Genesis is free of all this stuff. That's the brand new Xenoblade game, basically Xenoblade 4. We shall see, but right now, it seems like Monolith Soft are relying on this for image quality, which is a big shame, because these are some of Nintendo's most efficient developers when it comes to squeezing more out of the hardware. They did it on Wii, they did it on Wii U, they did it on the Switch, and it's a bit of a poor impression to begin with when you have something that just isn't reaching the heights it could. The Switch 2 edition does come with brand new content as well, though. There's now fully voiced heart-to-hearts, which is rad as hell. There's also some hovercrafts you can use to ride on the water, and there's races you can take part in with them as well. It's crazy stuff. But we are focusing on the visual presentation for this video. And I am disappointed, but also I'd say this is a relatively okay outcome. It's gonna make these games a little bit more pleasant. It's always nice seeing them at 60 frames per second, and yeah, it's conflicting, man. It's okay. It's all right. It could be a lot better. And one very strange visual bug noticed by Mia in our community is all water reflections seem to wrap around the character. So any screen space reflection just sort of warps around you. And you can notice here as the camera pans around, all those strange pieces of visual noise just kind of disappear as the camera reaches the grass. Also, the camera's way more zoomed out here than usual, and you can see the blur filter probably better than any other instance in the video, and that's a shame. There's also basically no improvement to the load times at all, just a minuscule improvement. And the file size is pretty ridiculous. There's a much larger file size than the original game. I guess it's to fit a lot of the new voice acting, but even then, I don't know where a lot of these giggies came from, given that X's Switch 2 edition had a very, very small file size. I don't know, man. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.